Hey guys, welcome back to Disc Golf Examiner. Today I got something very special planned because I was asked the question several times by different people, what kind of equipment do you use to cover tournaments? So I kind of want to break this down into two different videos for you. One, I'm going to focus on my photography equipment, and next week I'll focus on my video equipment. So really what it comes down to whenever you see me at tournaments covering and doing photos, I have one or two cameras on me. I have a Canon 7D or a Canon 7D Mark II. Now, I use my 7D Mark II more than anything. It can shoot up to 12 frames per second, which comes in handy because the more frames per second your camera can shoot, the better the chance you're going to capture something really nice whenever it comes to disc golf shots or sports in general. Now, my Canon 7D Mark II, I have a 70 to 200 millimeter f2.8 lens on here, and you don't need something this big and bulky or this expensive to put on your camera to take great shots. I think it's possible to take great shots with an average telephoto lens. In fact, sometimes you'll actually see me out there with this Sigma lens that I have. This one is the 18 to 200 Sigma lens, and what's really nice about this is that it has an optical stabilizer on it, so I definitely suggest those if you are hand holding your camera. But this is not an f2.8, this is a 3.5-6.3. If you don't know what your f-stop is, it's basically how much light is allowed inside your camera. It also gives you a crisper image. It gives you a much shallower depth of field so that you can keep your subject in focus and things around them out of focus, which draws your attention to the subject. Also, whenever you have a lens with a lower f-stop, f2.8 for example, you're going to have more of what's called bokeh. Now, bokeh is the blurriness that you get in the background of a photo, and that is actually an ideal thing that photographers look for whenever you shoot for professional shots. It really puts your object in focus and it draws the attention in the photo towards the subject. So that's something definitely that these more expensive lenses give you over those cheaper ones. But it's not necessarily what you need to take good sports photos. If you do end up using one of those cheaper lenses, you're going to want more light, because in sports in general, not just disc golf, but disc golf's a big part of this, is that whenever you are throwing a disc, your hand is moving so fast that you need to be able to shoot extremely quickly. I have had people throwing at 1/2000th of a second, and that there's still a motion blur with their hand. So really, most people at that speed will be completely frozen in the shot. You can see the moment that the disc leaves their hand. It's really, really nice. What you'll need in that situation is to allow a lot more light into the camera. You can do that in multiple different ways. You can do that either by opening up your f-stop. You can do that by increasing your ISO on your camera, and you can also really, those are your two options whenever you are worrying about how fast you're shooting, which is a huge priority whenever you're doing sports, like I said. The other thing you want to do is get your camera out of auto mode. And the reason I say that is because some of the things that happen whenever you're in auto mode is the little flash on top of your camera can pop up, and then yeah, you got a problem there whenever you're shooting sports and you got a flash going off, especially disc golf. Extremely distracting to the people. Really horrible. You can't be using flash whenever you're covering disc golf tournaments, period. I shouldn't have to explain that, but it does happen, especially people don't realize it in auto mode. That little flash likes to pop up sometimes. So definitely there's a tip for you. Free tip of the day. Do not use auto mode when shooting live sporting events. The other thing I would focus on whenever you're out there on the course, if you're looking for a camera that's good for sports, you really want to go for a camera that has a silent mode like this. Because one of the first things I noticed whenever I was covering disc golf tournaments was the sound of the shutter can be very distracting. See, that's pretty loud whenever it comes down to it. It's very distracting. Disc golfers don't like noise. If you didn't know that, it's kind of a thing. Disc golfers hate noise. So whenever people are putting, whenever people are throwing, you don't want to be using that. If you have to take shots of people in action, what you really want to do is get a camera with silent mode. So that's a big difference in audio. Let's go back to regular mode. Big difference in audio. So that's going to be another thing to take into account. If you're thinking about taking photos for fun, you don't really need it. If it's just for non-tournament coverage, but if you're going to be doing tournament coverage, you're going to want a camera that has a silent mode on it. Plain and simple. Or nowadays you have mirrorless cameras that don't have to worry about that mirror in the center, because really what that noise is the mirror. Now, there's a lot of really great cameras out there. Sony makes a ton of great cameras that are mirrorless nowadays. And Canon's starting to follow that boat, and Nikon has as well. But this has been working out great for me. All the photos that I take are with this camera lately. I really recommend a telephoto lens with a low f-stop. You gotta have that high shutter speed, and I would definitely suggest a silent mode. So, and in some situations you're going to want a camera with great low light. So if you are out there and you're thinking about, hey, I want to take great disc golf photos, leave a comment below. I want to know, maybe what we'll do is I can do a video on how to take the best disc golf photos, or how to take particular disc golf photos. I'd love to do that, but I really wanted to answer the question today, what I use and why I use it. And I hope you guys enjoyed. If this is something that you like, remember to like it, share it, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I know it's a little bit off the norm for me, but I hope you guys get some value out of this. So, all right, guys. Well, until next time, keep banging those chains or shooting them, whatever you do.